Hey guys, yes. So the audio is a little borked on this episode, and really apologize for that. We didn't catch it till after everything was done and the editing had started, so we did not have time to go back and refilm the episode. Thanks for gritting it through this time, and hopefully by next episode it'll be all fixed. All right, guys, enjoy.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Peanut Gallery Podcast, episode 36. We are back. Another week. The news never stops. It's been busy.
It has been.
It's been a busy week. A lot to get to.
A lot to get to. No, it's been nuts, dude. We got. We're gonna talk about healthcare.
We got healthcare.
Senator
we got
McCain.
John McCain, and of course, people are treating it, with such respect.
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
Like
We'll
they're really
the
setting aside their personal beliefs and just kind of treating him like a decent human being as he goes through this time, right?
Yeah.
Except not, because it's the internet, and it's 2017.
Yeah, this is very true.
This is very true. All right, guys, if you didn't already know, you are watching the Peanut Gallery Podcast. This, of course, is the place that we provide our completely unprofessional and insignificant opinions about the most important and significant topics of the day. I'm your host, Jared, and with me, as always, is Seth, and we're going to jump right into what was nuts this week. All right, guys, we are back, and the first thing on the docket this week is probably the biggest story of last week, and it is the failed healthcare bill.
Yep, once again showing that they are just totally doing what they said they were going to do along campaign trails.
They did it. Well, it took them 7 years to promise that and then not deliver.
Yeah.
So a couple times, I want to go over reconciliation because a lot of people don't understand why they're always talking about, we have to fit all of the things in the parameters of a reconciliation bill for it to pass with a simple majority.
Right. Because otherwise, just to clarify, simple majority would be 51 votes.
Exactly.
Whereas normal would be super majority, which would be 64.
Not necessarily normal, but any bill can be filibustered, basically, which would then require there to be 60 votes to pass it. Yeah. But for a reconciliation bill for a bill to fit in the parameters of reconciliation, it can't add anything to the deficit, so it can't add more money onto the deficit
that
for
should
it to
be like
considered
every bill.
A reconciliation bill. So that's kind of why they were, going about, and they would blame it either not being conservative enough or not being progressive enough on saying, it has to fit in the parameters of these reconciliation bills. But basically, I think the bill was pretty crappy.
Yes.
For a lot of reasons. We talked about it a little bit more in detail.
We talked about it multiple times.
Yeah,
it's been crappy for a long time.
It's been crappy for a long from when it passed in the House to now the Senate version is still crappy. But basically, the straw that broke the camel's back is you had 4 senators who came out and said that they absolutely would not vote for it. And they could only withstand 2 senators saying that they wouldn't vote for it.
Right.
So basically, you had Mike Lee, you had Rand Paul, you had Jerry Morgan, and then Susan Collins said she wouldn't vote for it because she's on the other side. She's saying it's not progressive enough. It's not enough like Obamacare, even though it pretty much was.
I mean, I think we all kind of knew Rand Paul wasn't going to vote for it.
Rand Paul
He's
definitely
been pretty
wasn't
vocal that he's not a fan.
Exactly. And, a lot of people are blaming Mike Lee for this, like in the press and
No,
stuff
you blame
like
the crappy bill.
Exactly. And there were 8 other senators who had expressed great concern about the bill. I know Ted Cruz was saying he wasn't going to vote for him, and there were like 8 others who said that they were definitely concerned with the bill. And it's not a repeal of Obamacare. It's basically Obamacare, and they've been saying since 2010
repeal and replace.
Put us in there for 7 years, and we'll repeal it. And we'll replace it, and they're not able to do this.
Well, yeah, I mean, didn't Trump say in his first 100 days he'd have it ripped out?
Oh, yeah. Trump said
there's a bunch of stuff in his first 100 days.
But the bill is crap. The bill basically had like a 16% approval rating among, the America. It had a 16% approval rating, which isn't great. It doesn't mean that all bills that are passed that are successful have to have a great approval rating of Americans, because a lot of things are new and people don't really like change anyways.
They don't know what they're talking about, too.
Yeah, but I mean, just to put it in perspective, Obamacare, when it was passed, had 40% approval rating, so it didn't even have that great approval rating before it was kind of rammed down the throats of Americans. But this one had even less than that, so that's pretty significant.
And I don't think it's necessarily because of what it entailed, in that, like, a lot of people would be approving of what it did, but what they promised wasn't what it was.
They didn't deliver on what they said.
They didn't deliver on what they said, and so that garners a lot of ill will.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
And I think a lot of the blame is to be put on the leadership of the Senate and the House, Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell, because they are kind of the ones who orchestrated this bill. But also, some of the blame has to fall on Trump too here.
See, I was going to say that I don't think Trump cares much about this at all.
I don't think he cares about it at all.
Yeah.
Well, because he flip-flops back and forth
Yes.
all the time. On the day that it wasn't passed, he tweeted out within 30 minutes. He tweeted, the first thing was, Republicans should just repeal failing Obamacare now and work on new healthcare plan that will start from a clean slate. Dems will join in. No, they won't, of all.
But also, it's weird that he says Republicans should, not we should.
Yeah.
Because technically he's Republican. It seems weird. It seems like, you know what I'm saying? Like he's looking on it from the outside saying, Republicans should probably do that. But and it's like, well, this is you campaigned on this a lot.
Say we should.
We should, or we wanted to, or.
Well, I think he's trying to separate himself from them.
The failure?
Because they failed twice now at doing this.
Well, what they say now, they say they want to just try, they're going to put a vote to just ripping it out, and then just saying in 2 years, they're going to try to hopefully have something.
Yeah.
That's not going to pass. There's
no, definitely. I mean, they've already said that it won't pass.
Yeah.
But then 30 minutes later, he comes back and he tweets out, quote, "As I've always said, let Obamacare fail and then come together and do a great healthcare plan. Stay tuned."
So is it take it away, or is it let it fail and then fix it?
Well, he's always said let it fail, except for 30 minutes ago when he said repeal it.
Yeah.
But I mean, Obama for Obamacare was out there touting for this thing. He was like the biggest cheerleader for Obamacare ever.
It was his last great thing he did. Yeah. Amazing. Love it.
But it passed because he was out there pressuring senators and pressuring people to get it through and talking about the content of it. He was lying the whole time, sure, but he was out there talking and promoting it up. Exactly. Yeah. And Trump flip-flops back and forth all the time. And it's Trump care for a reason. He has to sign it into a law. So part of the blame has to, I think, fall on him, even though he's not technically part of the legislature. It's heavily influenced by him. And when he comes out and says, oh, this part of the bill is too mean, and then he flip-flops and said we should do a clean repeal completely, and then he goes, oh, wait, no, we should let it fail. It's definitely not a unifying message that Republicans have, and it's not going to unify Republicans in voting and standing.
Honestly, I thought it was a shoo-in that this would be something that they would be able to push through pretty quickly. Like, pretty much every Republican that I've really seen over the past couple of years has, like, talked mad crap about it, been saying we want to get this out as fast as we can, take it away, we don't need it or whatever, and it's like, I don't understand.
Well, I don't know his name off the top of my head. There's a couple different senators, one from Utah, I know. They voted in 2015 for a clean repeal, and they were going to put it on Obama's desk just to have it on record that Obama vetoed it, right? They knew it wouldn't pass. But every Republican voted for it. Then,
really?
Except for Susan Collins, I think, which is she's consistent, so that's decent. But every Republican voted for it, and now those same Republicans who voted for it in 2015 are now saying, no, we're not going to vote for a clean repeal.
Because at that point, it didn't mean anything.
Exactly.
And
now that it means something, they're not willing to do it.
But you'd think their voter base would be on board.
I know, but all they care about is getting reelected. So if Democrats have something to bash them with, and if they're in like a purple state or a swing state at all, it's better for them, I guess, to just not do anything.
But at the same time, the people that voted them in, the Republicans, they're not going to like it has a 14%?
Yeah.
Approval, like people don't like it. Yeah. So I do what you said maybe, and maybe you'll get a higher approval rating. At least have it on record that you tried this. Yeah. I don't understand.
It's crazy.
And it's again when they're doing politics to get reelected and not doing politics to represent the people that got them there.
Exactly.
And it's messed up.
It drives me crazy. One good thing, though, that has come out of this. Trump, throughout the entire campaign trail, had promised for every regulation that was passed, he would cut 2 regulations.
On board.
And yes, it's a good thing. And according to the Office of Management and Budget, the Trump administration has cut 16 regulations for every one reinstated. So I'm totally on board with this. I think regulations as a whole, obviously, there's a place for some. But as a whole, I think that business and the economy is far too regulated.
Yes.
So I think that that's a great thing. And I think...
Do we know what they were involved with? Like the ones that
he's cut 800 of them. 300 of them were correlated with energy. Okay. A lot of them had to do with cutting back the EPA's strengths on energy and fossil fuels and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
But I think this is definitely kind of a clear indicator to why I think people kind of have a sense that Trump is a pro-business administration. Even if they don't get a lot of legislation passed, there's going to be some executive orders and rollbacks of regulations, and I think that's kind of a contributing factor to why the stock market has continued to rise substantially while GDP hasn't really grown that much.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think that's a good thing.
Yeah. Another thing that I could probably argue would be a good thing is that Sean Spicer has stepped down as the White House press secretary.
Yeah.
Dude, that guy needs a medal, man. He needs a medal.
He had the hardest job in the
Dude,
world. That's for sure.
I mean, I don't think he did it. He probably did it as well as he could. You had to imagine in that beginning couple weeks when it was just
so much stuff
like you knew they didn't think they were gonna win, and they won like crap, and then Sean Spicer's in front of them with Trump's thing, and oh my gosh, dude, he had one of the hardest jobs, but now we've seen him step down.
Yeah, I think
can't really blame him.
It's interesting the reason he stepped down.
Yes,
too. Was because this guy named Anthony Scaramucci, I guess.
Scaramucci,
was appointed by Trump as the new communications director. And I think that a lot of people aren't really happy with this pick because it's definitely not a drain the swamp kind of pick. He was a Goldman Sachs guy. He worked on Wall Street.
It's been a lot of
banks. He was a hedge fund
manager.
Yeah, manager. He managed like $11.3 billion of hedge funds.
Jeez,
and I saw an interview with him and Jake Tapper. They were going back and forth talking about how he had been bashing Trump all during the campaign trail, calling him like a demagogue, and then saying that he wanted to promote gun control legislation and policies. And he's gone back through and deleted all of these tweets and
which
stuff
doesn't
like
matter because everyone just archived them.
Exactly. So. Yeah, I know, but it's crazy how people think that in this day and age they can just say something and then not be expected to be held accountable for that. And why are you changing your mind or anything like that?
At the same time, though, I could easily see him just saying that stuff because he's lobbying for a specific person, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean who knows what they really care about?
I mean, I think that all they care about is getting into a position of power.
Probably.
Really.
House of Cards taught me that, dude. All they care about, you can have money or power.
Go for power.
Yeah, but no, so Sean Spicer resigned because he wasn't happy with the pick. He told Trump, and Trump's like, listen, I'm going to pick him, whatever. And Sean was like, all right, fine.
Because he would have to report to him. Yeah, and Sean Spicer didn't want to do that.
I don't know why that would be enough reason to like quit a job that you've already went through.
Maybe he didn't already like his job that much.
It's like, oh, this is a reason.
It just gives me at least
I don't have to say it's just Trump's an idiot. I can just be like, well, I didn't like.
Could you imagine doing that job though? I mean, almost for any president. I think.
Well, just meeting with the press would suck.
Yeah, Obama's press secretary had a hard job too with tons of stuff.
Yeah.
But Trump's too, like just with the crazy stuff he'll tweet and say, and the press is on it like.
That's
crazy.
The other thing. Like Obama's probably had it easier because the press wasn't nearly as vicious as it is now.
Tell us, what is it like working with wonderful President Obama every day? And now it's like, well, this and
like
this.
He doesn't
and
wash
this.
his hands. Oh, so you're saying he washes his hands a lot? It's like that's not what I
said.
Yeah,
exactly.
No. Now every little thing they're gonna like berate you, and I could never do it. I would be like,
I would probably resign too.
Yeah.
But no. So this next story I think is pretty uplifting. It's cool. I like focusing.
Totally relevant to the last couple of stories.
Yeah, exactly. Except not at all. But it's good in a sense that. It's cool to kind of take a step back from politics and look at some good things that are going on. So this kid, after 11 hours of surgery involving 4 teams of doctors, there's an 8-year-old. His name is Zion Harvey. Is the first child in history to have successfully had a double hand transplant.
Freaking nuts,
really
dude. So
cool.
This kid was, I think, he was born without hands.
Yeah, he was born.
So he just like right here, there's nothing there.
Yeah.
Also, he was born. He had a bad kidney, and his mom gave him one of her kidneys to live. And so. He was inspected for like 18 months or something to make sure he was okay for the surgery. And it was actually something he was on because of the kidney that helped allow him to get the hand surgery. I'm not a doctor. I don't really know. But the coolest thing is that they did it. It was successful. And now he's able to do scissors. I think I saw in a video. He's able to use scissors. He's able to like write his name out.
Yeah.
With hands that weren't his, dude.
It's incredible. I mean, you can see in these before and after pictures, you can see how he was and then how he is now with his hands and being able to function and writing his name and using things. I mean, this is life-changing.
Right? And it's coming back around because a paper has recently been published about the surgery.
Yeah.
Like kind of, diagnosing, or just going through the surgery, a research paper or whatever, professional paper, and saying that because it was a success, like, this is like, it wasn't just a one-off. Like, they know why it was successful.
Continue trying to do these
exactly
things.
And it's proof that it works. And they actually had to have him they had him write his name to sign waivers of like they can use his videos. So that was really cool to have him involved. But dude,
it's awesome. Well, what I think this speaks to
insane.
is like if there's an opportunity to do some kind of experimental or special treatment, then take it, right? And to tie this back in, I'm gonna do it with Charlie Gard. If there's an opportunity to, this wasn't even in the case of saving life or anything. The situation was completely different.
Arguably,
but if I mean, it's greatly improving his life. If there's an opportunity to do this kind of experimental treatment, then do it, because now how many kids are gonna have hand transplants? Yeah, I mean that's incredible,
dude. It's just that, like, medical technology, like, it blows my mind.
I know.
You can do that. Like, not only, like, the whole, like, when
you'll have these crazy long surgeries and they'll be all up in you, and then they just sew you back up and your body fixes yourself and you heal.
Yeah.
But like they added someone else's hands.
And he could use them.
How does that work?
I know.
I feel like such an idiot. I don't understand any of that, dude. But it's freaking awesome, man. Hands. I mean, let's give those doctors a hand. No, it was awesome.
All right, guys. Well, that is going to wrap up what was nuts this week, and we are going to move right into the main topic. All right, guys, we are back, and we're going to jump right into the main topic this week, and we're going to talk a little bit of a sad story. John McCain this past week was diagnosed with brain cancer. He's diagnosed specifically with primary glioblastoma, and it's a very aggressive brain cancer that attaches to the spinal cord and the brain tissue in your brain. But
the brain tissue in your brain?
The brain tissue in your brain. But it is the most aggressive type of brain cancer.
Yes.
So it is pretty sad. It's the same brain cancer that Beau Biden had when he passed away, Joe Biden's son, and Ted Kennedy. This happened. He was just going in for a routine physical. He was complaining, I think, about double vision and fatigue. He had to go through an MRI. They found that he had this brain cancer. And it's pretty sad. And I think what's the saddest thing about it has kind of been the response of some people.
Yeah. Well, not only, I mean, there's some people I think were awesome.
Yeah.
Like you had
the majority of people.
Yeah, you had President Obama tweet out that John McCain is an American hero and one of the bravest fighters I've ever known. Cancer doesn't know what it's up against. Give it hell, John. And then, of course, you had the sitting president, Donald Trump, say, Melania and I send our thoughts and prayers to Senator McCain, Cindy, and their entire family. Get well soon. And then, of course, saw an outpouring of most people. Yeah, even normal people. I mean, a lot of people like, I don't agree with his policies, but this is brain cancer. I mean, this is a time where politics needs to be pushed to the side because it is not the most important thing in the world.
Yeah.
This is someone's life, and this is like you said, most aggressive. It's not. This isn't something that's like, oh, well, he'll get better in a week. Like,
yeah, I mean, I should say they had the surgery and they removed the brain cancer, but of course the problem with it is it grows back very often.
It's pretty much guaranteed. Like,
exactly.
I guess this type, from what I've seen, is pretty much guaranteed to come back.
Yeah, it is, and the median survival rate is about 14 months.
Yeah.
Some people have lived longer, up to 5 years, but on average, it's 14 months. But it's, you talked about this, and you went back and you watched the Obama-McCain debate.
Right. So that was, so I was working out, and I was listening to this. I learned about the brain tumor, and I was like, you know what, like, I haven't really done much on McCain. It was in 2008, this debate between him and Obama. I was in 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care at all about politics. I didn't listen. I mean, I know I didn't really like McCain because of his vice president pick, not necessarily anything he had, but I wasn't a fan of Sarah Palin. I thought she was very underqualified for the little that I knew.
Mm-hmm.
That's just kind of, well, anyway, I went back and watched the first debate between Obama and McCain, and oh my gosh, it was professional.
Yeah.
It was great. They argued the points. The moderator at points even had to be like, listen, you guys need to butt heads more.
We need to get some ratings, people. They
yeah,
need to be
not
headlines.
that they need to fight, but just that you need to address what he says instead of just saying, well, what he says is partially right, and then this is also what I want. Like, they were so respectful.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like mad respect. And like, not only the debates, but also along the campaign trail, you had McCain doing things like this at his rallies.
First of all, I want to be president of the United States, and obviously I do not want Senator Obama to be. But I have to tell you, he is a decent person and a person that you do not have to be scared as president of the United States. Now, look, if I didn't think I wouldn't be one heck of a lot better president, I wouldn't be running, okay? And that's the point. That's the point.
I got to ask you a question. I do not I can't trust Obama. I have read about him, and he's an Arab. He is not. No?
No, ma'am. He's a decent family man, citizen that I just happen to have disagreements with on fundamental issues, and that's what this campaign is all about. He's not. Thank you. Yes.
And so with who McCain is, and you might not like his policies, but I think it's hard to argue that he's not an honorable man, or at least an American hero. But unfortunately, you saw people, specifically we wanted to talk about this one article by Caitlin Johnson. She wrote this article, and it was titled John McCain, or it just was titled, "Please Just Effing Die Already." And she starts off the article talking about that somewhere between 210,000 and 440,000 patients die every year as a result of medical errors. If there was a God, murderous, warmongering neocon John McCain would have been one of them. Obviously talking about the successful surgery we just talked about, and that she wished she would have died. Then she continued. That wasn't enough, right? She continued to describe McCain as a murderous, warmongering neocon, an evil man, that he supported every U.S. military bloodbath in his obscenely long life. And in addition to that, she said, "If you're waiting for the part where I say that I'm just kidding and would never wish death on anyone, please allow me to make myself clear. I sincerely, genuinely hope that Arizona Senator John McCain's heart stops beating and that he is subsequently declared dead by qualified medical professionals very soon. I do not wish him a painful death. I do not wish him a slow death. I do not wish him an unnatural or violent death. I only wish that he becomes incapable of facilitating the merciless slaughter of any more human beings." So, yeah. And not only is it bad enough that she wrote this article, and I mean, she can write whatever she wants. I just think it's super disrespectful and kind of messed up. You had people retweeting it.
Yeah.
You even had a freaking GOP senator from Nevada retweeting the article and then saying amen.
Yeah.
But it's okay. Don't worry, guys. She tweeted out a tweet later apologizing, saying, "Today's retweet was disrespectful to Senator McCain, and he is an American hero. I do not wish anyone harm. Go kill yourself." What the heck?
Except you retweet amen to go effing die.
Yeah, and then I'm sorry, I apologize.
Sorry,
I didn't mean
take
to.
that
She
back.
said my apology. Like, you can't. No.
It's insane. It's insane. And not even to... it's crazy to me how you can go from that perspective, man. I mean, we've talked, like... John McCain is an incredible American hero. He's done amazing things in the past. We're going to jump into a little bit of that in a second. I don't think that even if you've done crazy things in the past, that doesn't mean that you can't be criticized for things that you do now. But can you just set aside your political differences for a moment and just talk about, even if you hold the opinion that she does, why do you have to go out and say something
especially
that
right
inflammatory?
now?
Yeah, I mean, all she's trying to do is get clicks and get ratings and stuff like that.
We're
on
talking
the story.
about it.
And I mean, we're talking about it, but we're condemning it because it's idiotic. Like, I mean, I'll be the first to say I'm not a fan of John McCain's policies. A lot of things I completely disagree with him on, but I wish him the best, and I hope that he recovers.
Why would you wish death on somebody?
I know.
Like, what is, like... I don't
someone
over politics.
Someone who has fought and bled and been tortured and served in the American military, and you're wishing that he literally dies because you disagree with his political views.
There's a sick irony that the reason she's able to write that article is directly correlated to people like him serving and suffering for the country
And protecting her First Amendment
that
rights.
She's able to do this. And then she turns around and uses it to do that when he has brain cancer.
Yeah.
Like, if she wanted to put an article out like, "Oh, I wish he would die," and he's totally healthy, still kind of not, you don't need to go that far probably. But, like, whatever. But, like, when he's just got diagnosed the week of, and then to be like, yeah, you know.
At least come out and say resign. Like, why do you have to say go
step
die?
down
Why do you have to say go die?
Yeah.
I mean, just to give a lot of people don't really know. They're like, oh, yeah, he served in Vietnam. Just to give you a little bit of backstory, because I didn't know it fully. I know that he was tortured terribly.
I knew he was a POW, but I didn't know all the information.
He was a POW, and he was never able to raise his arms above his shoulders since then. But just to give a little bit of backstory.
Couldn't do the YMCA, dude.
He couldn't do the YMCA. It's terrible.
It's terrible.
But back in 1967 in Vietnam, he was a Navy Air Force pilot. His plane gets shot down while he's ejecting from his plane. His plane was shot down by a ground-to-air missile rocket, right? So his plane is kind of spiraling out of control. When he ejects, his limbs are flailing so violently that he ends up breaking both of his arms and one of his legs before he even reaches the ground.
Ugh.
When he reaches the ground, the North Vietnamese come up, stab a bayonet in his left foot, and then break his, I think it was either his left or his right shoulder with the butt of a gun. So then he goes into a POW camp.
Prisoner of war camp.
Prisoner of war camp, yeah. He's there for a full year at the time that his father gets promoted to an admiral. And then I don't know all the details of it, but he basically was going to be able to be released because of his father's position. From the POW camp, the North Vietnamese were going to release him to, I guess, show some sign of good faith. I'm not exactly sure what was going on there. But they offered for him to be released, and he said no, that he wasn't going to be released. He wanted the order of the men that came into the camp to be released accordingly. So if you come in first, you get released first. He didn't want to be released first, while there were other men that were there, in front of him technically.
They would have been there longer.
Exactly. And he's there. He hasn't gotten the medical treatment that he needs, anything like that. His arms did not heal properly at all, and he stays there for another 5 more years. Continues to get tortured and goes through hell, being a POW in the North Vietnamese, being detained by the North Vietnamese. I mean, this is not a pleasant experience by any means. People talk about waterboard being torture. No,
I'm sure they were
that
not.
is torture. Okay.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's kind of the backstory of his service to this country and what a American hero he is. You can clearly see from the tapes that we just showed that he's a very decent and honorable man.
Yeah, like the fact that he wouldn't let the girl go down the Arab Trail, or he was just saying, "Listen, Obama's a decent human being. He's like, I just disagree with him politically, and that's why we're debating." It's like, I think I'm a better president, but he never he wouldn't go down the personal attacks.
Because see, the problem is when you start kind of taking the argument away from the policy and away from the ideas and start attacking the person.
Nothing productive happens.
No, nothing productive happens. And that's how you get to this vitriolic rhetoric that we're seeing today.
Where people are glad someone got just diagnosed with brain cancer.
Yeah, exactly. And then not that they're to blame necessarily, but this can trigger crazy people to go out there and do the things like we saw with the Republican baseball field when that guy just went out there and went on a shooting spree. And there's examples of that happening. And I'm not trying to be like a snowflake to limit speech or anything. I think it should all be allowed, but I think as a society as a whole, it would be much more productive.
There's decency.
Exactly. If you just attack the ideas, because there's plenty of things to attack with great passion about specific people's ideas and why they're flawed and why they're immoral and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean that the person is a freaking demon from hell, right? I mean, you can say, I disagree with your policy, but, you're a fine person, I mean, I don't understand where that disconnect comes.
Well, yeah, and I think like we talked about before, political rhetoric, and like who's like, is it on the people's job or is it on the person spewing the rhetoric? And I think it's a little bit of both. Where this is a result of how I think intense and hyperbolic political things have become. Yeah, you saw in the last election. I mean, we had people on Instagram posts saying that like.
He's a traitor.
The traitor or not a war hero. And then we asked him, why isn't he a war hero, or why is he a war hero? And they didn't know. And we would tell them, like, oh, I didn't know that. I just had heard what Trump said or what Obama said. And it's like, it's like you need to kind of have an understanding of what you're talking about. That's another thing I think that is lost nowadays. Totally. Everybody's an expert on everything without knowing anything about anything. And it's like, well said.
No, I mean, it's so true, man. And I mean, you can find this anywhere. You look up, things online where people will go to campuses and ask people, like, what socialism is, or what is this, or do you support this? Yeah. And they're like, yes. And they're like, okay, can you define it? And they're
or just placing crap on a map. Maybe you see that. They like place a pin wherever this city is, and they don't know, and they'll put it, and it's like, oh my god,
it's crazy, man. But I think the main kind of crux of this is that have we really fallen that? And I know that it's a few outlets. Thank you, Mr. Cynical One. I know it's not the majority of people. I don't believe that.
No, the majority was outpouring of support, putting policy aside and how it should be.
Absolutely. But I think that's something that speaks to it. If you can put out a piece that she did and to get, I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know about she. She was the senator that we were talking about.
No, it was a girl that wrote it.
It was a girl who wrote the article too?
Yeah, it was. I'll find her name in a second.
So if you can put out a piece that she did about John McCain, and then it get, ratings and clicks and stuff like that. Did you find her name?
Yeah, Caitlin John Stone on Median. We'll have it linked below if you want to read that glorious piece of
absolutely
content.
But I mean, it's crazy that the thought comes to people's minds. Oh, I need to put this out because it's super inflammatory. I know it'll get clicks, it'll get ratings, it'll draw people to the site. Like I'm sure that maybe behind closed doors or something, if it got good ratings, she's probably applauded and encouraged to put out articles like that.
Yeah,
because that's the bottom line that these
news the business of the internet is clicks.
Care about. Yeah, and I just think it's appalling, man.
It is, and I think that good people and people that were supporting and that hate this, the hammer needs to come down quick that we condemn this sort of behavior, because as soon as we let it kind of exist, then more people say, like, well, I mean, this is okay to put out. Yeah. Oh, not everybody's hating this. Oh, so the next time there'll be a couple more people that do it. Yeah. A couple more people. And then you have half the population doing it. And like, how did this get out of control? And it's like, this needs to be quickly condemned that yes, you have the freedom to do it. We're not saying that. We're just saying it's incredibly stupid.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't allow or shouldn't want to let this exist. No, I don't know what exists. It's hard because it's just like.
Well, listen, here's the thing. You can put it out, that's fine, but I would like to see people condemning it, like, widely condemning it to the point where
it's
the
not
publication
profitable.
looks bad, the company looks bad for putting that out there, the writer, it's not good. It doesn't look good upon her for putting a piece out there. That's what I would like to see happen.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's crazy that you have a man with John McCain's resume that
and the fact that after all of that, I think I would be pretty bitter and I would hate a lot of things, and then to come back and be like, I want to try to serve the best that I think that I can this country and become a politician. Like, I don't think I would have done that. I think I would have been a really grumpy old man that would have been like, back in my day, I didn't have use of my arms. Like, it's awesome, and I don't agree with a lot of his politics, but I have nothing but respect for him, and who would wish? I can't. I'm sorry, I cannot wrap my head around someone that's like, I'm glad they're gonna die. I wouldn't even be glad Hillary's dying. Like,
no,
I wouldn't wish death on someone.
No, you can just wish them out of the political realm.
Yeah, just never be dead in politics.
Yeah, exactly, but not in life. But I wonder if I'm not an expert on this or anything, but the first thing that you said is, maybe you'll know.
Just Google search expert.
Exactly. Yeah, I know everything about everything. But remember that during the James Comey hearings, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, and he went on this kind of tangent that didn't make sense at all.
He was making 0 cents.
He was making 0 cents. And then I was wondering if that has something to do with the kind of his thought process and the way that he kind of maybe presented his questioning and stuff like that.
I think that was probably the cancer.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Because he's normally an articulate person who can present points. I mean, he's been a senator for 30 years. He's not a stupid man by any means. But what he said just it was probably a month or two ago by now. I think it was back
the Comey hearings,
Yeah, what he said back then made absolutely no sense. And like I said, I'm not an expert, but it would make sense to me that having a tumor growing on your brain tissue and stuff like that could alter your train of thought and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, seeing double vision, like, that would freak me out, dude.
Do you think that he'll resign, or do you think that he'll stay in?
I think he should resign.
I think he definitely should
hope that
resign.
he does, because I don't, like, the median is, 14 months? Like,
yeah.
Like, personally, I would want to be with my family. I wouldn't want to be serving a public office. Like,
absolutely.
So I mean, I don't know. I hope that he does whatever he wants to do. I would resign, probably, if I was I don't know how that works. Like,
legally, I mean, if it's altering his state of mind, I think that he'll be pressured in to resign.
Yeah,
I don't think that he should still serve if it alters his state of mind.
Imagine if he was president and that happened. Like, imagine if he had won. Oh, he'd be out though by now, wouldn't he?
He would be out. Yeah, he'd be out
by
by
now.
Mind. But just to kind of I mean, I think it takes a special kind of person to want to be in politics, right? For 30-something years. I think he's been in since the 70s or 80s. He's been in for a very long time, and I wouldn't put him past him for him to try and come back. Like you said, and still do it. I mean, I would if he doesn't get forced to resign based on being unfit. I think that he will stay. We'll see. I would resign, man. I mean, I'm 80 years old, and
he is old, man.
I mean, I would definitely want to resign and spend the time with my family. But it'll be interesting to see what he does, and it'll be interesting to see. I don't know, really. I know that there's laws in place that if you're unfit to serve, then you have to step down. But like I said, I don't know if that affects his judgment or his brain capacity. I mean, he's going to have to be going through treatments. The main treatment for it is radiation and chemotherapy. And I would imagine at his age, typically they don't do chemotherapy stuff that old.
I don't know enough about it to say anything.
Because, I mean, it's a super hard kind of
I know it's
procedure.
rough on your body.
It's definitely rough on your body, so it depends on how strong his body is and stuff. But anyways, we kind of wanted to bring this up just to say thoughts and prayers out to him. We don't just mean that like, oh, thoughts and prayers out to him. Really, he's an honorable man. He's done a lot in service for this country, both on the battlefield and off, whether you disagree with it or agree with his politics. I truly believe, was in there trying to do what he thought was best. And it speaks to a country's morals and a country's principles when you're able to pray and wish someone a quick recovery in the best, even if you disagree with them fundamentally on everything.
Like, honestly, Obama's tweet was awesome to me. I was like, that is awesome. Give him hell, John. That's so sick, man. Like, they battled for that first debate. I mean, most people
they ran against you. They
battled, and for him to now come back and be like, listen, he's a war hero. Even Obama called you a war hero. I mean, like,
because it's undisputable. He definitely is.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know how you would even argue it. Can we please stop these fake apologies, man?
Yeah.
Like, no, you tweeted out with amen after. No, you can't just turn around and say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to any mean, like he's a warrior. Like, no, you honestly
Just
don't
stop.
think that.
Just
Does
stop.
anyone believe you?
No one believes.
No one believes.
No one
you.
believes.
Gosh.
But anyways, guys, definitely tell us what you think down in the comment section below. We want to hear your opinion. We want it to be a discussion, so you guys definitely get involved. Tell us what you think. But we are going to move right into what triggered us this week. All right, guys, we are back in our final section of this week's podcast. Of course, this is the What Triggered Us This Week, and this is where we replace all rational and logical thinking with only emotion. And Seth, what triggered you, man?
We should call this the social justice warrior segment. So you could like have rotating
Just switch it around.
names.
Yeah, it depends what it is.
The
Yeah.
Evergreen State College student segment. No,
It would just be
this week I
yelling.
wanted to talk about a movie we actually just went and saw, Dunkirk.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've probably seen commercials for it. It's pretty big. It's actually ruling the box office this weekend, which is dope because the movie is pretty good.
Yeah.
I guess decent. No, it's a good movie, and I think that as I've heard more people talk about it and think back, it's one of those. I think it'll be a good movie for film junkies, people that like the way things are shot and like the artistic aspect, which I can appreciate a little bit because my brother went to film school and he kind of showed us a little bit, but a lot of it I don't think I necessarily got.
Yeah.
It was fine, I think.
I appreciate, like, after I saw it, I appreciate it almost more just kind of thinking back on it and reading through some people's reviews of the movie and the directive choices that he made for it.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool.
Don't spoil it. I
Yeah.
mean, we don't know what happens. No, but I thought it was a great movie. Especially the sound. I remember the sound.
Yeah.
I remember the sound
Everything's
specifically being
booming.
freaking awesome.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, so pretty much it was getting praise across.
I mean, it's got
Most-
great reviews.
yeah, great
Rotten
reviews,
Tomatoes, Metacritic. and
Saying it's
everything
great.
like
I mean, the story, the movie's just good. I would recommend you probably go see it. If you're into war movies,
that. Mhm.
definitely go see it. If you don't know what Dunkirk is, actually, I would say research that because it's a fascinating battle.
It's not one of those movies that if you don't know what Dunkirk is going into the movie, you're not going to know what Dunkirk is going out of the movie, really, because it doesn't really give that much background.
No, yeah,
to it.
it's pretty skeleton.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
way that it's shot and stuff like that, it
Yeah.
just goes in and tells the story of the men who were there, and that's
It's
kind
an
of
insane
the cool
story,
thing
man. I
about
would, look into Dunkirk. It's an awesome fight. I think it's a battle, right?
it. Yeah, well, yeah,
It was an
great
evacuation. Yeah,
it was
and
a
honestly,
battle. Yeah,
it was a
everything going on.
big like if things had gone differently, the war could have been vastly different because
Absolutely.
Britain's military could have been crippled before they even were in the war at all.
Yeah.
Which is nuts.
Mhm.
Well, I guess before they actually fought them.
Yeah,
like,
before the Nazis proceeded to Britain. Mhm.
So anyway, the reason this is in my triggered section is not because the movie is amazing, and I've spent 5 minutes now talking about it, but the fact that there's a USA Today film critic named Brian Truitt, something.
Insult to the Truitt name.
Right. So people have been kind of freaking out about his review about Dunkirk because even though he praised it throughout his critique of it, saying it was great, it was golden, it was whatever. He actually had a part in his review that he said that the fact that there were only a couple of women and no lead actors of color may rub some the wrong way. So he's complaining about diversity in a World War II historical film, right? And so my trigger isn't necessarily his review because he did praise the movie. He had this one line, and honestly,
And he wasn't technically wrong. He said it could rub some people the wrong way. I'm sure that
Yeah.
it did, clearly.
right? But the fact that we have to
That it
bring
does
this
rub
up,
people
the
the
fact
wrong way.
that
Yeah,
diversity
exactly.
is even a topic in a historical movie. Yes, there were no women fighting because women didn't fight.
Yeah, exactly.
That like on a grand scale, like
yeah, and
men,
not in the British,
right.
the British Royal
right?
Army.
And
I
the
mean,
fact
come
that there were
on.
no men of color, like it's historically accurate.
Yeah,
We
it is.
cannot go back throughout history and make it equality through history. We need to understand and leave history be history.
Exactly.
I'm sorry. It's good that there. I don't want to. It's good that there's not women fighting. It would have been
It's
super
good.
jarring if you saw a female pilot flying around. I was like, wait, it would have just been jarring.
Well, because it wouldn't have been historically accurate, and you know that it would just be pandering.
It
to
would
a
be.
certain
Oh, we got
audience.
women. Don't worry. I mean, I saw
Exactly.
one black soldier in the movie.
So there you go.
Golden. No, the movie was great, and the fact that not necessarily his review again, but the fact that it's a topic that now is being brought up. That should we be talking about diversity in historical movies? No.
Exactly.
No, we
I
shouldn't.
Totally, and just to kind of tie this in, I wanted to throw this in. We didn't mention it anywhere else. Recently, what Chris Hemsworth said that the next James
my
Bond
gosh.
should be a woman, and that's
Because
not,
it's time.
Because it's time. Yeah, whatever that means, and not that James Bond is a historical figure or anything, but
The
his
character.
name is James Bond. Okay, James is not a woman's name.
Jamie
He's been
Bond.
a man for all the Bond movies since the 60s.
And his shtick is he's a womanizer, suave, awesome spy. It's like a woman doesn't really fit. I guess maybe you can make it fit, but just make a new
James
character.
Bond is impressive because he can get all these women to come into bed with him, right? It's not impressive for a hot woman to do that with men. Men are pigs. They'll
We're
do it
idiots.
Anyway. Exactly. No, but I mean, it's just crazy. And like you said, it's crazy that we're kind of in this. If you want to have a great, they're making Atomic Blonde, right? A movie about
I think that looks dope.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's clearly
John Wick with a chick.
A tie-off of John Wick, but they're not trying to take something that is James Bond and then put a woman there.
Should have made it Joan Wick.
Exactly. But I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, can we just stop with this whole diversity, equality crap? Just infiltrating everything, especially historical films.
If I were, this might trigger someone. If I were a woman, I would not want to like take like a iconic man film and then just slap a woman on there.
It seems
because
like
it seems disingenuous and kind of insult. Like make a great franchise about a woman who's cool, who
Right.
does similar stuff.
Yeah.
I guess that's too much to ask.
Anyway, what about you, Jared?
So what triggered me is the wonderful New York Times. So Mark Levin is an author. I like his books. I've read a couple of his books. Liberty and Tyranny was the last one I read. I've listened to him every now and then. He gets pretty flamboyant sometimes for me, but I think that he's definitely a very intelligent man. He's done his research, and I think, you know, if you're a Mark Levin fan or a conservative at all, definitely check him out. But he just recently put out a book on June 27th called Rediscovering America. It's sold remarkably well for nonfiction books.
He discovered America again?
Yeah, he discovered it. He's the next Christopher Columbus.
Nice.
But anyways, it's sold 115,000 copies since it came out. And since the time of this recording, which is, like I said, remarkably well. It was #1 on the New York Times bestseller for the first 2 weeks in a row. But where my triggering comes in is on the third week, it was taken off from the #1 slot and I think put on the #2 or 3 slot and replaced with Neil deGrasse Tyson's book, Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. And the problem with this is that according to
Nielsen Bookscan.
Nielsen, okay.
According to
Nielsen Bookscan, Mark Levin's book has sold 2,500 more copies than Neil deGrasse Tyson's book. So I don't know. I'm not a professional. I don't know if the New York Times has their own algorithms, but I know that this book scan is widely used and trusted by a lot of different sources to kind of rank books on how they're selling, right?
Right.
And the fact that his book is outselling Neil deGrasse Tyson's book, but they put his on the #1 slot, is kind of crazy to me. I mean, I get it. I know where Neil deGrasse Tyson stands, and I knew the New York Times probably likes him more than an ultra-conservative guy talking about how the progressive left is literally destroying America. So, I mean, I get that they don't like it, but it's super stupid. It's super disingenuous to put his book in the #2 slot. It's the New York Times best-selling list. It's a list of books that are selling the best. If your book is selling the best, I don't care if it's about freaking communism. It should be on the top.
Yep.
Because that's just how it works.
I'm with you if it's totally just they swapped it, but part of me just there must be a reason to this. I'm sorry, like I'm not that pessimistic in this instance.
I think it's because it's the New York Times.
You do?
I mean, his book is outselling him.
But like, so is that selling over 2,500 in total, or is it weekly they do it, or is it in total they do it? I don't know.
It changes every week.
So it goes by that week's sales?
Neil deGrasse Tyson's book has been in the top 5 for 11 weeks because for 11 weeks it's been selling in the top 5. And every week it gets updated with a new book depending upon what books are selling the most. That's why in the first week that his book came out, it was #1. And the second week when his book came out, it was #2.
Neil.
And now... No, this is Mark Levin.
Okay, sorry.
In the first and second week, it was #1. And then in the third week, it's still outselling it the most. But then it gets put to #2.
Right. Seems sketchy.
It does. It totally seems sketchy. And
does it really matter if you have a #2 or #1? Like, I'd like a #6.
Yeah.
With cheese.
This is the what triggered us section, okay?
Sorry.
This is where I get to complain about things. But anyways, I just think it's
You're right. Let's be outraged.
We should be outraged.
I wish the book would just die already, you know?
All right, guys. Well, that is going to wrap up this week's Peanut Gallery podcast. Be sure and tell us what you guys think. If you like this video, if you didn't like it, give us a thumbs up, give us a thumbs down. Comment below. Tell us what you thought about any of the topics that we discussed in this video. We like to hear y'all's opinions. Be sure and check us out on podcasting services, iTunes, Google Play, and SoundCloud. Leave us a review there. That really helps us out. Until next week, guys, always remember, stay informed.